Welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom, LFE, and Greg tonight. We are recording this on the first day of June in 2015. And, we just got done with the, last week. The weather here was gorgeous. I mean, absolutely gorgeous.
Blue sky.
And we start out our first day of June with rain all day. It's like awesome. Yeah, here's summer, guys.
Yeah.
So how you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Outstanding. We had a great weekend this weekend. It was my daughter's birthday. She turned 9, and we took her to the water park. And oh man, both of us. Greg's got a daughter the same age, and they're friends, so they went with us. And we had to work today, and we were both just exhausted. I mean, we watched these kids, and they ran, and they ran, and they ran, and we ran right along with them.
And my eyeballs can go different directions like they did.
Yeah. But we're definitely paying for it today. Today was a great day at work, wasn't it?
Oh.
Great. Yeah. So I got a couple news articles. One of them is kind of a downer, but it's good information for us all to have. So I decided that, I don't really want to talk about too much, negative. It's good information, but it's this a trade agreement called the TPP, and I'm just going to read a quick paragraph on this news article I read, and I don't want to go too deep into it because, like I said, I just want to have people. I just want to inform people of it. But it says this paragraph. It says the TPP would elevate individual foreign firms to the status of sovereign nations, empowering them to privately enforce new rights and privileges provided by the pact. TPP by dragging foreign trade in front of their expectations. The tribunals would be authorized to order taxpayer compensation for the foreign corporations for their expected future profits. So basically what the thing is saying is that if certain countries ban a corporation from doing business there, under this new trade agreement, the corporation is considered to be its own sovereign nation. Just the corporation, not where the corporation resides at, but the corporation itself is a sovereign nation and can sue the country for not allowing them to
potential lost profits.
Yeah, potential lost profits, and
Wow.
the taxpayers of that country would have to pay those profits.
I wonder who wrote this thing.
I don't know. I'm sure it has something to do with a chemical company and a seed company. So, anyways, I posted a link on the Facebook, and I found a little music video that's somewhat humorous to watch. So you can find that on our Facebook page.
So just real quick before you move on from that, I got to ask: is this where's this being sponsored at? Where's it? Under what jurisdiction is this being presented in?
Well, there's been thousands and thousands of dollars paid to U.S. congressmen to review this. They're not being shown the whole bill. The corporations that are also sponsoring it, they have private secret access to this trade agreement. So we can't see it, but the corporations that are going to benefit from it can see it. And now they're also saying that they're trying to fast track this bill or this trade agreement to being signed before Obama gets out of office in less than a year. So they're trying to get this pushed through without notifying the public of what's going on and what's actually in it and what it's saying. So yeah, it's, like I said, I didn't really want to get too much into it, but I just, would encourage people to, just Google TPP and read about it, and
we'll have to make sure we put a link to that on the website too.
Yeah. So my next article is, on a lighter note, and that is, let's see, I found this news article. It's about, ocean cleanup. And let's see here. In 2013, Boyan Slat, the founder and CEO of Dutch registered nonprofit organization The Ocean Cleanup, developed a trash collector which was promised to clean up the world's oceans in just 5 years. Now he has announced that this ambitious project is going to deploy in 2016. The 2,000-meter-long system will become the longest floating structure in history and will operate for at least 2 years. How does the system work? It is an anchored network of floating barriers which collect plastic debris with the help of ocean currents. Thus, the ocean will basically clean itself. After the debris gets settled, excuse me, I'm stumbling over my words. After debris gets settled with these barriers, it can be removed and collected to be processed later. Within 5 years, the company plans to launch a 100-kilometer-long system in the waters between Hawaii and California, and that's projected to clean up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And they're estimating it's going to take about 10 years. So,
well, that's actually quite interesting.
Yes, and this man who came up with this idea, Mr. Slatt, he came up with the idea when he was 19 years old, and he's 21 now. 21 years old, changing the world.
You know,
literally changing the world.
Yeah. Well, you know, and you know, Ramon and I have we've always brought up these stories about these kids that are coming in with these fantastic and amazing ideas. Some of the technology that these kids are coming up with is just flooring me. It's like some of this stuff it needs to get on the world stage, and so many of them are just open sourcing what they're doing. Yeah, well, this is a non-for-profit organization, you know. Right. And he's projecting this 2,000 meter floating structure to project next year. So where's this going to be located at? Where's it going to? The first one is going to be between, I think, Korea and Japan, somewhere around there. And that's because I guess there's just a ton of plastic in the ocean right there, and I think they're going to use that as their trial run. Where's this guy out of? Well, it's a Dutch organization, non-profit. Okay. So I'm guessing it's from Dutch. The Dutch, huh? Yeah, they got their windmills and their amazing dam system there. Yes. Is that the country that if they didn't have all those dams and dikes and levees and stuff, that the whole country'd be underwater? Something like that. Most of the country is under sea level. Yeah. Yeah. They know water management for sure. So. Well, we have a fantastic show lined up for you guys tonight, and you guys are going to enjoy the hell out of this. I am excited to bring on tonight Franco DeNicola. Franco's perception of humanity and the world greatly diverges from conventional ways of thinking. Rather than abiding to traditional belief systems and mindset, he sees beyond their conceptual creation and therefore recognizes that there is more to us than what our current human experience has led us to believe. Franco's work is simply aimed at assisting individuals and groups in creating realignments within their personal lives while reestablishing a oneness consciousness in this currently segregated world. To access many of his free resources on a variety of subjects, you are welcome to go to Franco's website, which is www.francodenicola.com, and you can find the links right here in the info section of wherever you happen to be listening to this at. Franco, welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio.
Yay!
Yes.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for having me on. It's a real pleasure.
Oh, man. So I know all three of us here have been listening to you for a while and have, definitely, I definitely sat up in my chair the first time I heard you. Oh, God, I think it was, when was the first time I heard you? 2009, 2008, something like that. And I was like, oh, I like this guy. You believe it or not, you remind me a lot of myself, not just because of the bald head. But a lot of your views and the way you see the world is right in line with the way I've seen things. And I know I mentioned before we started the show tonight that I really respect the way that you have put yourself out there on the world stage, and I just love your explanation of taking your life experience and interpreting it through a different set of eyes, ears, senses that you've done on your own versus taking some of the more dogmatic or set down methods and practices out there and then adopting them into yourself. So kudos to you on that. I really respect it.
Thank you. Well, it's great that you guys are on the same page too, because it's so refreshing actually in having more and more people coming to this level of awareness, and it's great to have other souls that are moving also forward and doing things that like you guys are doing and so forth. Because, I mean, I've known a lot of this material, and I pretty well came to a point of understanding many years ago. And it felt like a very lonely road, because in essence there were very few people out there that actually would reflect any of that understanding and knowing, or be able to see beyond, you know, what we were adopting as a current perception of our world. Right. And I know growing up, it felt like I was the only one. And even when I did meet with some that were so-called spiritual masters or gurus or, you know, highly enlightened or something of that nature, that I always noticed that there was that void there, and there was only just bits and pieces they knew. But now to be part and parcel with so many different souls, so many different people pretty well, that are getting on board and are taking action, like even what you were saying about people coming together and creating technologies and ways of being to actually look after the planet, look after one another, and so forth. So it's great. It's a privilege to have more people coming together at this time to really work together. And that's what the oneness consciousness is about, is becoming aware that we're all one, that we share the same platform, and that no matter what we do gives us the opportunity to all benefit and learn no matter what from whatever we are doing on the planet. So there's nothing someone can't do that doesn't affect it either positive or negatively, but even if we have it negatively, it's still a positive, because in essence, it still plays out a polarity to allow us to connect on that higher aspect of knowing that everything is an absolute perfection, and everything that we create is to enhance our journey on the planet, even the hard knock kicks that we get at times. But yeah, it's amazing. Thank you for being part of it, and for doing the 100th Monkey Show, and bringing this message out to a lot of people. And I'm really privileged to be on your show to share my part.
Well, thank you. The check's in the mail, by the way. Oh, geez.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So for those of you out there, or for our listeners out there who may not be familiar with who Franco DeNicola is, would you give us a little bit of background on how you, where you come from, and how you got on this path, and how you managed to be out on the world stage now, speaking your voice, using your voice?
Okay. Well, we'll have to go outside the box a little bit, because in essence, to give it a full perspective and understanding, as Franco is just a physicality like everybody else, with a mind, with a computer, and it's here on the planet, still functioning in a way in a human physicality that requires maintenance and whatever else it requires. However, the soul that embodies the physicality is what that specifically came on the planet to assist. Now, the soul is a planet jumper, and it has gone through a full enlightenment process, and then it has created a unification cycle that it went through. So in actual fact, the soul did merge with its twin soul and became one soul that has all the experiences between the two souls merged. But then it started to merge also with the soul family. So it did merge with the first series of soul families, which were made up of 24, or in this case 23 fragmented souls that became all one soul. And then there was a second family encodement that took place, where there was another series of unification, which brought it up to a combination of 48 souls. And then there was recently in January of this year, there was another dozen that connected. So in essence, the soul is made up of 16 fragmented souls, and each of these souls have had many, many, many lifetimes. Many of the souls have never been human, but there are others that have been human. So, and when I say human, meaning having human experience, because each and every planet you go on is a schoolyard and playground, and each physicality that you take on is just that, a vehicle that you take on as a physicality to integrate on that planet, or in that video game or playground that you want to call it, and to learn to expand and grow. Now, everybody's going through a similar cycle. Every single soul is going through a complete forgetful state and then going through an awakening state. But through that, you're gaining a tremendous amount of information, experiences, and so forth, so that you're actually enhancing yourself. So you never start off in at say level 10, for example, I'm just using that as an analogy, and go back to 0 and then get back to level 10, you're basically going from a forgetful state to a remembering state, but you're getting greatly enriched, and your stage of what you are here to do and what your full experience of your essence becomes enhanced tremendously. So in essence, the soul decided, before the unification took place, it was on the planet a couple of hundred years ago, and it stayed around the Himalayan mountains at that point in time. It really didn't really connect with people, and it was only a few students that would travel the distance to come in and get further enlightenment information and guidance and energy work at that point in time. But it hasn't been on the planet after that, and it just traveled from planet to planet, and then the unifications occurred. So when it decided to come back, this was back in 1957, it knew that it was time for it to come and play a role, and the role was to bring in oneness consciousness. However, it did require a lot of prep work behind the scenes, and also while being in the physical form. It also required to re-engage with the human experience so they can learn from the current operating system and the current experience of what was playing out on the planet, but also to integrate with the energies of the planet so that we'd have more access to it. From there, it expanded into accessing each other in a sense where part of the process was to, yes, be out of body a lot in a sense of working behind the scenes. Pretty well, it's like a huge computer. You're going in and modifying the operating system, but it had to be done very gently and in stages because humanity was still at that point in time in a deep trance. Not that has changed completely. It has changed for many people, but there's the majority is still not. However, they are being affected anyways. So that was involved in that regards. But then at the same time, in my human experience, I did take on some of the 3D roles of working, having a family and children and so forth. But at the same time, there was a 10-year span where I actually physically had to engage with 1,000 people, which I created a connection with them and be able to see through their eyes all their experiences. And they were a combination of male, female, of various cultures, upbringing, and so forth. So it gave me an idea, and when I say me, basically the soul, through my mind computer, to have an understanding of all the different people from all over the world at that point in time, so that we could understand where how the thought patterns and how their programs would work and how they would actually experience life, so that whenever the information was shared, it would carry all those tonalities and all those frequencies within it, so that any alterations that were made along the way would alter everybody at the same time. Even though that the codes were put into place, in each individual would have to activate it. But so that was the journey in coming into that. As I was saying earlier to you, I did come in fully awakened and enlightened at that point in time. That only lasted just barely 5 years. So it didn't even make it to the 5 years. And then the agreement was that I needed to lose 80% of my consciousness so that I would be able to have more of a human experience. That lasted 39 years, which was a little longer than I thought it would. And then at age 44, which was 2001, January of 2001, that's when the guide that I was working with that was in non-form showed up and said, okay, now it's time for you to reactivate the other 80% in stages over the 10-year period. And during that period of time, you need to start sharing the information, work behind the scenes a little bit more deeply, and to, I guess, become more known out there in whatever I needed to share. So I did, like I was saying earlier, I did, drag a little bit in making the moves quickly because of the fact that I still felt that I wasn't ready. This is the computer talking, or the Franco at the mind level, but the soul kept insisting, so that by the end of 2004, actually it was near the beginning of 2004, the end of 2003. Basically, I had to make a complete shift where I had to let go of everything that I was doing and focus fully 100% with what I'm doing now. And it's been quite a ride, and it's great to see as many people that are joining in the sense of awakening in their own true self, And in what I'm saying, awakening is just becoming more conscious of who you are, that you're outside of this operating system, that this is just we call it an illusion, but it's created such realism so that we can actually fully ingrain in the experience or integrate in this experience so that we can learn and grow from that. But the awareness that it's time now to step out of the limited 3D world and go into a more expanded self. So basically it's coming to the consciousness that we are a being of an infinite being that is immortal, that has full accessibility to any form of creation and to experience itself in a human physical body, which in turn will change the way you operate in the physical. So you're really basically transforming the human experience, which will then relate into the transformation of the planet and the playground that we live. And this was necessary at this point in time because of a great change that's occurring with all the realignments and reactivation that's happening through the universes and the galaxies and then all the solar systems that are involved in this. So it's not exclusive to the human experience. However, the human experience has some uniqueness to it because it has stayed in a very deep sleep state for a longer period of time. It stayed very polarized. And at that point, it basically it didn't evolve the way it was intended to evolve, and that still is very purposeful because, in essence, it went into the deepest and darkest and the most unconscious state possible, and now it's coming out of that state, so it actually gains a tremendous amount of opportunity and experience within that, so that it actually creates such a how can I say it? There's a very unique way of experiencing. Now, there's uniqueness in all experiences on each and every planet. However, this one here happens to have one that's unique, that it's created a great amount of interest with a lot of our brother sister souls from other planets because, as you are aware, we've had a lot of visitations. We have a lot of exposure that we have occurred, and it's always been there, but it's actually becoming much more prominent now, and how they're interacting with us and so forth. So
right.
That's the basis to start off with.
Right. Well, here's one question for you right out of the gates here about we look at how many people that we are perceiving that are on this path and that are waking up, that are becoming consciously aware of a greater reality, and and I look at the technology that we have today and how small the world has become. I mean, here we are. We're in Washington State, and we're talking to you in Canada, just like we're next door. I mean, I do the same thing with people anywhere on the planet. And it's just like we're sitting in the same room having a conversation. I mean, that makes the world pretty damn small. So when I take that use that as in the background there in my mind, and I'm looking at all the different people that are waking up, and then I consider where we were 50 years ago with how big the world was at that point, where you didn't have that instant communication planet-wide. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have tweets. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have any of these things that are keeping us so closely connected. And I look at the different renaissances throughout history, the spiritual renaissances that have happened. And then I have to ask myself, is there really that much of a difference now on the planet than than say at the end of the 18th century? The 19th century, the 1880s, 1890s, there was quite a spiritual renaissance going on the planet at that time. And somebody within those circles could be saying the same thing that we're saying today, that so many people are waking up right now. This is a big shift in consciousness. It's a tremendous boon. We are on our way to the golden age, whatever, however you want to term that, and the way we're terming it now. We're right around the corner from heaven on earth, So I have to ask, what is different now in this renaissance that we're experiencing on the planet than any of the other times in history?
Well,
and are there really more people waking up now than have woken up in these other periods?
Yes, because I do have access to the memory of those many, many years ago, hundreds and thousands of years ago, when I have accessed previous lives that have been on the planet, at that point in time, the collective awareness was still very, very low. There were particular individuals that were becoming more aware. However, those individuals were not, segregated as repeaters of the human experience. They were mostly ones that had exposed themselves to other playgrounds, other incarnation on other planets, and they're the ones that were coming in and seeing. But the general feel was that it was going to occur, this awareness explosion that was coming into reconnecting with themselves. But at the same time, it was very, very minor in comparison to what we are experiencing now. At the time, I'm not saying that there weren't any souls that were on the planet in physical form that were not able to access, source consciousness, or that weren't able to access the capability of seeing beyond the physical form and to be able to function within that. That was there. It was there for thousands upon thousands of years. Actual fact that there was more the first 5,000 years, starting from 15,000 years ago, than it occurred in 10,000 years ago when there was an actual decline. And that's when a shift occurred where it actually degraded. But that was an agreement to actually go into a deeper depth of unconsciousness, if you want to call it that, to have that experience. So now what we're experiencing now is a much larger scale awakening of consciousness, or shifting in consciousness in a larger scale at this time, and it's accentuated in speed. As you can tell that things are changing. We're not talking, things changing every 1,000 years or every 100 years or every 10 years or every year. And now it's changing moment by moment. And at times, in one moment, there's several shifts that occur. So things have expedited on that regards. But we're also having a lot of different alignments which are promoting it, because we've had some very powerful shifting that has occurred even on the planetary level, and then the repositioning of the planet, the alignments of other planets, the connection with the central sun, and so forth. There's a lot of different things that occur to stimulate what's taking place now. Now, the other thing that was on the planet that has actually been a very powerful aid in this awareness has been the internet, the telecommunication, all the different forms of communication, because it brought, the planet is, expanded all over the place. I mean, it's, but if we did not have the internet, if we didn't have instant access of sharing, we would have to rely on the regular media of communication. And, in essence, it was a much slower, way of doing it. Now with the internet and everything else that's come in with the tweeting and so forth, the information is shared much quicker. However, you get both sides of the information, information that is not accurate, but you're also getting information that is of people's awareness expanding, or, realizations that they have, which trigger other people's realization. There is a much more sharing of personal things that are happening on there individually, but what's happening in different parts of the world at the same time. So we have much more resources that are there. But the key of all of these resources is really to assist ourselves to really activate our own remembering, that own deep inner knowing that we have. So the difference is the fact of things have speeded up, the energies have changed. I mean, we've had a lot of different changes. Now, if you talk, even if you take back in 1986, 87, as we were talking earlier, at that point in time, the frequency of the planet itself was 7.8 hertz. We're now at 15 hertz. I mean, it has gone up. Actually, it's going to hit 15 hertz this month. But in essence, we had a huge shift. Prior to that, it would take 5,125 years to go up 0.4 of a hertz in any frequency change. So you could see how it accentuated. So we're taking from 86 to the end of 2012, it went from 7.8 to 13 hertz, and it's been climbing ever since. where prior to that, 5,125 years went from 7.4 to 7.8, and prior to that was 7 to 7.4. So you can see things have changed energetically also on the planet itself. The frequency of the sun has accentuated tremendously, in essence. So the rays that are coming in emanate a very powerful stimuli for awareness. Plus, the souls are on the planet here. You know, many of the souls are basically being reactivated, and there's a lot of new souls that have come in. And when I say new souls, souls that are already somewhat advanced, that have already gone through the denser states, so they're coming in already pre-wired to be part of this new world that we're stepping into. And now it's, you know, even though there's no such thing as time, it is an alignment that we can call time at this moment. That it is, you know, we're stepping into another stage or sequence where we have limited ourselves or engaged in a 1,000-year advancement to achieving enlightenment. So we're basically in 1,000 years, we'll be able to, every single soul on the planet and off planet that would engage in anything to achieve full enlightenment so that we can recreate our journey. So there's a lot going on at this point in time, and the changes that are happening now are reflected in everything that's playing out in the world too. You could see on the stage of our world how everything is being challenged. We're not only being challenged personally, but every corporation, every institution, every structure, every idea and concept that we've ever adopted, religions, you name it, everything is being challenged one way or another. And only to go through its transformation, and many of it will become obsolete, and many are obsolete, but they're just hanging in there because it allows certain souls to still, you know, play in that realm for a short period of time. So that's really. Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is that within the next 1,000 years, we will reach full enlightenment. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, no, that's the intent of every single soul. Yes. Planet Earth is basically scheduled for just slightly under 1,000 years to finish its sequence before it gets retooled and possibly reused as something else. I mean, Planet Earth has been retooled many times. I mean, as much as it's been here for billions of years, it has been retooled, repopulated with different species and so forth. Even our physical form, what we call the present human experience that's on the planet right now, it is a series that was created 15,000 years ago. All the other physicalities were on the planet. Some were giants, some were smaller, some were, you know, different humanoids, if you want to call them that. Even different scientists have discovered, you know, old remnants of physicalities and so forth that they've actually checked. And even Greg Braden, in his books, talked about some of the things that they found. They found some skeletons that were 250,000 years old, and they found the DNA was completely different because they were from a different series at that point in time. So the planet did get retooled and reprogrammed completely, and these species of physicalities that we have now is 15,000 years old. And, you know, the ones before that were of a different species or a different series. But these physicalities, again, are created from 12 different species in a lab and then was implanted on planet Earth. But again, the physicalities and the minds that were, or the brain that was being used, or the mind, if you want to call it that, were just a vehicle. Then the souls would come in from all different planets or from non-form planets to come in and embody them and use it as a vehicle to experiment, experience, and to learn from on the planet.
And it makes me think of the Yuga cycle, you know, that 26,000 year cycle that and like, okay, well, class, it takes 26,000 years to get through this school. You know, instead of K through 12, which, you know, we have K through 12 here in the U.S., and that's how long you go to public school, right? Mm-hmm. And so for soul school, it's, you know, 26,000 years.
K through 26,000?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Well, see,
and
I bring that up because for us, our it seems like our whole society is geared around immediate gratification. So when we hear, you know, if it's misinterpreted and we hear, oh, well, we're going to be fully enlightened in 1,000 years, you know, I'm just curious on how people who are just starting this or who haven't heard you before, or who are, just starting to wake up, just starting to realize there's more out there than it meets the eye. If they hear 1,000 years to full enlightenment, and until you just explain it to me, but we're based on immediate gratification. We want it, and we want it right now. And if we can't have it right now, we seem just to kind of forget or put it to the back of our minds. So, I guess what I'm getting at is what can we say to those people who want it right now, who want full enlightenment right now, but don't understand that it's an actual process, and it's a learning process, and it's a self-knowing process. It's hard to interact with those kind of people on those terms because they want it right now and they don't want it. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yes. Well, that's actually amazing. I'm glad that you brought that up because, the immediate gratification, first of all, is from the ego mind. It's not from the soul level.
Yes.
Second of all, the 1,000 years is for the souls that actually are in the most deepest of sleep state will have the 1,000 years to do so. That doesn't mean one can wake up tomorrow morning and become fully enlightened and then decide not to be on the planet, because when you're fully enlightened, you choose not to take on a physical form. However, the interesting thing is, and I've worked on many people through life regressions and so forth, and because I've played with various souls, it's amazing when the soul actually leaves the physical plane and says, okay, I'm done with this, and moves on. In essence, it's always excited to come back again or to go on some other playground, because in non-form, it's not, it's not like you reach there and you're, oh, okay, I'm here, now what? It's always looking for another excitement, because in essence it's saying, oh, okay, look at all the stuff I've accomplished in all these lives, and I've done that. Now, how can I engage somewhere else and to create another experience? It's like somebody playing a video game, right? You're going to keep playing the video game until you get to master the video game, and then you're just going to look for another video game to play. But, even if you lose out over and over and over again in the video game, you just reset the program and go back in again. And this is what happens. A soul comes on the planet. It does its maximum amount, because it basically comes in with a list of things that it wants to accomplish and do and so forth. It comes here, plays full throttle, does whatever it can, gets caught up in the program, in the matrix, and whatever else is going on, and it does achieve whatever it achieves. It might be minuscule, and sometimes it's huge, but when it leaves again, it goes, great. All right, now, it rolls up its sleeve and says, proverbial sleeves, of course, and says, okay, I want to get back in there again, because in essence, this time I'm going to enter the third world country, and I'm going to want to have that maximum intensity experience here, or in this time I want to have a different type of gender with different belief systems and so forth. When you see it for what it is, a ride rather than a completion, it's very different. And the thing is, it's not like we're wanting to arrive. We're basically here. We're just here to play. We're here to learn. We're here to experience. We're here to become more enlightened. And the enlightenment process is basically discovering yourself and your potentiality. Even as source itself, it's not stagnant. It just continues to perpetually create realities to play with in itself, so that it becomes more skillful, much more self-realization is achieved. And this is our very nature of our own essence. So 1,000 years, I've heard people say, wow, that's so short. And then others will say, oh my God, it's going to take, no, it won't. It won't take 1,000 years, and it can take that plus. The essence at this point in time, it's going to take whatever it takes based on whatever you're doing on each of the soul. But it's not about getting at the end goal. You're going to do, it's not like, even going to school and say, well, I want to graduate, and then when I graduate, I'm free. Well, what happens when you graduate? Now you need to go on to the next game. And what's the next game? You got to go to work. You got to do that. And then when you go through that, and then it's the retirement part, but is it really retirement? You now have to create another thing, because you can't just vegetate there unless, you thrive on that, which most people don't. But in essence, it's just a cycle. So the intent, when I say 1,000 years, that's the intent of its usefulness of planet Earth and of this particular species of physicalities that we are presently occupying and utilizing at this point in time. But at the same time, the souls would like to go to the next chapter, because once you become enlightened, you reformulate, restructure, and create all brand new realities and go out there and play again, of course the world's going to look very different. It's not going to be the same as we've created thus far. It's always different because that's our nature, to create something different and to create something that actually supports us in our new state of being. So in essence, yeah, hopefully that addresses the any concern about the 1,000 years. For somebody else, that is really deep in not in awareness of any sort at this point in time, it seems unfeasible to come to that realization. For others that are already on the path, that seems like that's a long time. Well, it doesn't have to be a long time because it doesn't have to be 1,000 years. That's just the maximum allowance that we've provided us, a collective. And when I say collective, we're talking about collective, a whole universe and sourceness. So it's not the collective of just planet Earth type of thing.
Yeah, I got you. So with this game we've got running right now here on planet Earth, and the collective that is here on this planet, I've often asked myself, and I've contemplated this and taken this meditation and quite a few different times for myself personally, just seeking my own answers. What's our ultimate goal here on this planet? I mean, do you see us actually having a collective goal here, or do you think this is just going to continue to be that school of hard knocks, or are we working on creating that heaven on earth?
No, we are definitely creating. We are basically right now upgrading our human experience and upgrading our planet. So in essence, we are, you can call it creating heaven on earth here. But, again, what is heaven on earth? I mean, in essence, it's creating an environment that is conducive and that is feeling natural for us to experiment, to experience, and to, utilize whatever we have in our presence as a way to continue to grow within it. Now, what we are going through right now, like I was saying, with the transformation of the human experience and planet, we're basically going back to our natural operating system, plus in an enhancement, because of the fact that we have continued to be upgraded on a molecular and also a consciousness state. So in essence, our true natural operating system, because we're not operating on a natural system. Our natural system at this point in time is a very deep, profound, what we can call ultimate love, which basically essence of pure realization that it's essence itself that creates within that essence, and it embraces every aspect of its perfection and every aspect of its creation with one another. Plus, our natural operating system is very neutral, where it is just very flowing, playful, very, what do you call it? Can't think of the word right now, but in a sense, very, very creative and very expansive in that state. But at the same time, really holding a natural state of peace. So our natural operating system, in essence, does not need to work, does not play with polarities of fear or anything of that nature, where it actually shares with one another, creates an environment where we no longer have to be enslaved by whatever we do. In essence, the physicalities operate in pristine state. It does not require to play with the polarity of illness versus wellness. And even wellness barely exists at this point in time, because there's no form of real, true, what we can call harmonious wellness, because in essence, even someone that's feeling well is not always 100%. But that's, again, part of the experience and projection. But in essence, to be able to be in a body that you feel completely aligned with, completely connected, but you're also connected with each and every soul on the planet, being every single person on the planet. You're connected with nature. You're connected with the animal kingdom, the oceanic kingdom, the insect world, the bird world, all the different aspects of nature, but also connected with all our beautiful sister souls, sister souls on other planets. So when we are here, what we're doing is creating where everything is conducive for our play here with ease. So you're not in struggle, survival, or anything of that nature. Our natural state, in essence, is creating an environment where we can be ourselves fully and completely. And there is no judgment about it. There's no expectations. There's no rules. There's no definitions whatsoever. It is very fluid, so you can actually change along the way. You don't need to age. You don't need to experience any of those deterioration aspects of it. Our natural state, our actual bodies are programmed originally and is part of what we're going to activate to last 1,000 years each time. It doesn't have to, terminate within 50, 60, 70, 80, or even 100 years, 90 or 100 years. It basically, at this point in time, it can go back to its original operating system. So when we're creating a world where it's sustainable, fully sustainable, where the environment is completely nurturing, where we feel a sense of ease and peace, and we're here to be able to play on ourselves, to be fully ourselves while playing with one another. We're also creating an environment where, we are not creating pollution and all that stuff that we're doing now. We don't require to work in the sense for survival, because everything is shared at this point in time. Because really, if you look at it, anybody that gives it any thought, anything and everything that's on the planet exists for every single soul on the planet. There's no ownership saying, well, the oil reserves or the water or this or that or any mineral belongs to a corporation or an individual or anything of that nature. The fact that we have to pay for things is something that was, created in the polarity world. The fact that we even have money, because I can tell you, many of the planets, have played with not money but an exchange thing, a long time ago. But they found that limitation was something that was no longer necessary and has been long phased out. Planet Earth is still playing with this whole idea of money and the fact that you have to earn and exchange, and that, there's limited resources and things of that nature. And look at it this way, even the technologies that we have tremendous amount of technologies that we're not utilizing. Some of the technology that we are utilizing, we're using as weaponry. But in essence, we're going to get to a point where we come to the realization, if we create an environment that nurtures each and every one of us, we all flourish from it. And from that flourishing, we can actually just really be fully integrated with whatever. Because right now, look at the people. The people, even from before, but even now, everybody's focused on what? Being programmed, conditioned, and so forth to get a job, to work, and to enslave, and so forth, and do whatever it is until the expiration date comes along, because the physicality just can't take it any longer, and then they leave. And really, how much time is put into truly connecting with one another, truly connecting with nature and all the beautiful creatures on the planet? How much time is spent in actually self-realization, self-discovery, to be able to actually experience life through that knowing that you are source itself, having a human experience, and this is what we're transitioning to, and the things are speeding up so rapidly that this is going to happen a lot sooner than many people can imagine at this point in time. And what's changing is our operating system, our consciousness is changing, because that's fueling it. And then, of course, a lot of the assistance that we are getting energetically that are stimulating and so forth. And this is what people are feeling a lot of discomfort at this point in time, and are going through a lot of changes within themselves. Emotions coming up, old programs coming up, old fears, you name it, is coming up to the surface. Even the fact of knowing and feeling more and more uncomfortable on planet Earth. The reason they're feeling more uncomfortable, because they're basically coming to the realization that the life that they've been living no longer matches to the state of being that they're entering. And now they feel that it's time for change. And the change is to reflect their new state of being. And the world will start reflecting that. And in essence, right now, in the next several years, as we're moving forward, you're going to see huge leaps in not only in changing consciousness, but the way we do things. And as if you've seen, with the world, like you were saying before, with even the trade agreements and so forth, and a lot of the different wars and the different playmates that are out there taking president roles and so forth, you can see the levels of insanity that is taking place. When you look at it and say, well, if anybody of any right mind wouldn't make decisions like that, or wouldn't think this way, or wouldn't, but that's only pushing us to the polarity so deeply so that we can finally together turn around and say, hey, we don't need to play this game any longer. Let's shift it right now. And that's what's occurring. So the polarities are much more accentuated. So you're going to have things that are going to look more insane, only to bring you to an awareness awakening state of saying, hey, wait a minute. Because you look at it this way, and I've said it in other events and so forth that I've done, where, people say, well, we have no power, we have all these leaders in place and so forth, and they make the decisions. Well, they're only making decisions because we're allowing them to make decisions, but at the same time, we're making them make decisions so that they actually push us harder and harder into a smaller and smaller box, because the decisions they're making is actually limiting our freedom to the degree we realize, hey, we don't need to do that anymore. Because really, if anybody has power, at this point in time, it's illusionary anyways. Because in actual fact, we're all very powerful beings, and each and every one of us are equal. In essence, no one has any power, because even I've had people talk to me and say, well, I've been bestowed, responsibilities and power over, a community or over a country or something of that nature. And I said, who gave you the power? Who gave you the authorization for that power? And by the time you start asking a couple of layers up, it goes to nothing. It's almost like we just made it up along the way,
Yeah.
So no one has any power over one another. In actual fact, at a grander aspect, no one has power over each other, as we have no power over anybody else. But in essence, we are here all equal beings playing at different levels and roles, and we're just assisting each other to move forward. So when people say, well, look at all the dark forces that are out there that are keeping us asleep, fantastic, great, stay in the dark for a period of time, and eventually you're going to say, okay, I'm done with the dark experience, let's move on to a different experience. And at that point in time, once everybody or most of everybody is finished with the darkness, of course, it's all going to disappear. And I've said it many times, people that are playing the negative role, they're just playing a role like the same way the roles that we play. And we all have played negative and positive roles or whatever you want to call it. But at some point in time, when it's all said and done, that we come to the point where the negative role is no longer required, the person that's playing the negative role, doesn't matter who it is, will turn around and say, oh, thank you, guys, I finally got it. Now I can be relieved of my role that I took on. Let's all play together as equal beings, and let's have some fun.
Yeah. I get that, and with this change that's coming up, or with the change that is happening now, it seems like it would be much more, well, it seems like if we were able to retain our memories of all of our past experiences, not just in this life, but in our previous lives and our in-between incarnations, that if we were able to retain those memories and experiences, that this change now would be so much easier. So I guess I'm asking is our forgetfulness due to us wanting to forget before we incarnated, or was that something that was placed in part for us not to gain these levels of awareness, or to keep us held down as long as possible?
No, actually, the forgetting of the different lifetimes. First of all, I just wanted to explain quickly. The soul has the memory of each and every lifetime, every incarnation that you've had on any planet, and also the memory of each time that you've been in non-form, and also has full memory of access of where you come from, which is basically from Source itself. Now, each time we incarnate, we basically choose to forget about the other lives, so that we fully integrate the present life that we take on, so that we could actually play the role that we choose to play. So in essence, we come in with a list of things that we want to gain and experience in one physicality, and you can get fully lost in that role so that you can gain the experience and learning and so forth that is wrapped up in there. However, when you've done that at any point in time, you can start to remember, and many people are starting to remember. And it's not so much what you had in other lifetimes. It's more of what realization I've had other lives. I have played other roles. I know how it feels like in non-form, and I really appreciate being in form at this time that I've chosen, and I'm going to go down this path. But at the same time, I can also upgrade along the way. Because even doing life regressions, which I've done many on people and on my own self originally from, many decades ago, but in essence, for the thousands upon thousands of life regressions I've done, in essence, whenever you enter those past memories and so forth, if you happen to see yourself in another planet, yes, you see a different experience. and you would actually have the memory of all the emotional experience or whatever it would be, because on some planets there were some emotions, but there was memories. But in essence, you would be able to access. But then a lot of times in other lifetimes that you've had, say on planet Earth or other planets where we're much more denser, you would see yourself at that point in time, in essence, to see yourself going whatever was playing out at that time. And in most cases, the roles and the energy at that time was much lower. So it actually feels like, oh, that's heavy. You know, it's like going back into the past. Like I've said to people before, if you were given the opportunity to go back to age 10 when somebody's already 50, would you want to go? But at the same time, to go back and re-experience it, even with the consciousness that you have now. You can take the consciousness that you have now, all the experiences you have now, but to go back to age 10, but you'd have to go back to that time. That means that the way the world was at that time. Most have said no, they wouldn't want to replay it. And even the ones that have said, when we did put them in a regressive state or into an, hypnotic state and allowed them to go into that and replay that, they do come back out and always say, oh, no, I don't want to do that. It's been there, done that. Don't need to repeat this. Because in essence, the soul doesn't need that experience. So you're not going to get the support for the soul to say, yeah, it would be great to be there and let's go play. But in essence, you've been there, you've seen it, and you've experienced it. And so as much as it's fascinating, it'd be fascinating for days, and that's it. After that, it's like, get me out of here. Beam me up, Scotty. I don't need to be there anymore.
Oh, God, puberty again? No.
There you go.
Yeah. So, wow, I just looked at the timer on the recorder here, and holy cow, this hour has gone by fast. We are already at the top of the hour, Franco. I don't know, it just one of those time anomalies happens with some of the guests we have on here. It just seems like 20 minutes goes by and it's an hour. I guess that has to do with the energy that's surrounding the whole experience here. So, anyways, we are at the top of the hour. And Franco, what have you got coming up this year? What are you doing right now?
Well, basically, I do have quite a few events that we are working on. We have one coming up on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of June here in Toronto. Basically it's actually a retreat. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday retreat that we are doing. That's at the Kingbridge Center, which is where we've established a center where we call the Oneness Center now. Oneness at Kingbridge. And then we have some other ones coming up later on. So if it is in Toronto, usually we do live stream. This one won't be live streamed due to some technical issues that we are experiencing with getting people together to operate in. Plus, it's just the way it's going on this particular one. But in essence, all the other ones that we actually also live stream. So people can be here live, or they can come in on live stream where they can watch it internationally, wherever they are. So, anyways, the first one is the one that's coming up. I said on the 12th, 13th, 14th. It's called Creating a New World Template, and it's with myself and James Fu. And then we do have several other ones we announce. So if anyone goes onto my website, I do post the events there. There will be more coming up. In essence, if you register to be notified, so on the far right, you'll notice that you can put your name, first name, and just your email address. You will get notification of all upcoming events. Now, that will be radio shows. That will be other events that will come up, including live events, retreats, seminars, you name it. I also do a lot of processes, which you'll see on a lot of other resources that are available on my website. So there's a lot going on. We have this new center that we're working through at this point in time. So we're going to create a center where we will people can be able to come and gather and have a fully embodied experience and transformation within their operating system, and also it also creates a reset for most people, so that in essence, the whatever life challenges they may be experiencing, they will be able to immerse themselves in that experience where they can, at that point in time, kind of cause an awakening within themselves and also a reset, so that they go back and play in their world and And of course, they're going to feel and experience life very differently. But the center is also going to provide opportunities for like-minded people to come together and to use the place for a gathering where more ideas and more levels of consciousness will be shared, but also to work with people that are in different parts of the world and are ready to create a shift there, so they would be able to have a transformation themselves and then go and be a facilitator wherever they are. So there's a lot of great things coming in. A lot of things are shaping up for this year and going into the following years.
Oh, fantastic. You also have an ebook there, a free ebook for people to download also. So
absolutely, yes.
Yeah, anybody out there listening, pop on over to Franco's website there. It's francodenicola.com, and you will see he's got some fantastic resources on there. He's got hours and hours and hours of audio and video where he goes over just you name it, he talks about it. So it's a wonderful resource to go to and expand your mind and open your heart. So I would urge you guys to definitely check out his website and attend one of his things. Go out and check out his stuff if you have the opportunity to do that. Okay, so we're going to take a short break, and then we will be back in the members section. If you're out there listening on one of those other formats, the iTunes, the Vimos, the YouTubes, wherever this audio landed, I would urge you to go on over to www.the100thmonkeyradio.com and check out all the 5 years worth of audio that we have over there. There's also hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours there. So we will see you guys in the members section. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
How do you wash your sweet potato?
Namaste, my friend.
Solve the problems that divide the world of black and white. To end the race